I have seen you the first time on the School Games podcast. So when it still was the School Game podcast, Night School Stories. And you said one sentence where I was like, I so resonate with this guy. And that was you used your community and the gaming and fun side of it as a Trojan horse for self-development. And I thought that was so interesting, and especially how you thought about that at, your relatively young age. And so I wanted to ask you, were you always into self-development, or did that come with the growth of your channel? Like, how did you even, end up with being so interested in self-development and entrepreneurship in general at this young age?
100%. That actually gives me a new perspective to think about it, because it did come from starting to become a YouTuber. So about 4 years ago, actually, I posted my first YouTube video at the end of May in 2020. And since then, I just kind of fell in love with YouTube. I started posting more, and then I would change the thumbnails and titles and notice they would get more views than others. And it was just such a fun game for me. But then I realized I would come up against resistance, and I wouldn't want to post every day because I was trying to post every day. And then I would watch videos about YouTubers and be this is actually you have to treat it like a job. It's not just you can do whatever. And it's not just you're going to enjoy every bit of the way. And so I realized I needed to develop myself into someone that's capable of being a YouTuber if that's what I really wanted to do. And what really led me down the path of self-improvement was finding Hamza's content, Hamza Ahmed.
Okay.
And he talks a lot about self-improvement. And so he was actually the one that got me onto school because I joined Adonis school. And that got me super interested in self-improvement. And it's funny because he was talking so much badly about video games. And here I was making content about video games. And so it's of course it's not just me gaming and wasting a bunch of time. I'm actually doing productive things. But it came to a point where I was so many people are seeing these videos. And if I just said one nice quote, I could change people's lives with the sheer amount of people that are actually watching this content. And I wasn't. And so I realized I had a hard time really connecting with my audience through making real funny YouTube shorts and gaming videos and stuff. And my real interest was in self-improvement. So I was all right, how do I I was watching more business content. I was I got to monetize my channel and I need to make it meaningful. And so that's what I tried to do. I tried a few different angles, but I ended up on selling a community where I help people get better at the game Geometry Dash. And in the course, the first module of the course is set goals. But really this course is you can set goals and I'll teach you how to get better at the game, but I'm also going to teach you how to set goals for real life. And so all of the people, and I still have them in the community, just hundreds of comments of people setting goals. And they're I want to beat this level in the game. I want to be a pro player, and I want a girlfriend, and I want to make more friends, and I want a 6-pack of abs, and I want to be happier. And so that just made me really happy because I was able to sneak attack them with self-improvement.
I love sneak attack with self-improvement. And I think it's something that I also really resonate with, because my vehicle to business was creating memberships around business, because that was what I was kind of accidentally, just like you, good at, because I started enjoying it. And then I also realized how much more interested I am in self-development. But maybe it is because, I was always interested in self-development, but I also feel you can't get past a certain point in no matter what you do if you don't start to look at yourself and challenge yourself. So I think that's beautiful that you want to bring this to others. And now you do something slightly different, right? So you grew into this, but you took it kind of a step further from there. So what are you doing now? What's the niche that you ended up in, or that you're currently in?
Yeah. And so I started this gaming community 9 months ago, and I was trying my best. My goal was 10,000 members and $100,000 a month. And I was I got to make it work. I know this seems impossible, but I just got to do it. I'm going to help so many people. It's going to be the best community this game's ever seen. And 9 months later, I'm at $1,000 monthly revenue, which is that's great for some people. But I felt I had the skills to be able to do so much more. And when I would talk with my friends, online friends who are entrepreneurs, they're Kai, you're so good at this, but what you're doing is you're selling a thing to gamers, like young gamers who really aren't gonna, like, they don't have a lot of money. And I can also tell you're not like really enjoying it anymore. And that's true. Like, I had kind of lost my passion for it because I was trying so hard, and the refund rate was crazy, cancellations were crazy, and I was just like rowing in the wrong boat or rowing upstream, and it got to a point where I was just being stubborn instead of being persistent. And so, yeah, recently I rethought about what I really wanted to do. And it's a hard decision because I was like, geez, I've built this thing for the past 9 months. I can't just like let it go. Like, there's hundreds of people in this community. What am I going to do? Like, just drop it? But what I realized is the best thing I could do, which is what I ended up doing, was just make it free and do something else that I do actually want to do. And so what I'm doing now is helping entrepreneurs and business owners and school owners grow on YouTube. And I really enjoy it.
When I saw your offer and that you're doing this, I was like, yes, take my money. And I think it's so interesting, right? Because there's sometimes we want something what we perceive as good because we've experienced it so badly for others. We want it more for them than they want it for themselves.
Yeah.
So I think it's just beautiful to allow yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to give my value where there are people that are craving exactly that. So I think you just found a so much better match. And I think it's beautiful that you allowed yourself to let go of that. Did you, in that situation, learn anything about when to push versus when to pivot? So when you encounter that in the future, would you be able to make that call faster?
That's interesting. I think so. I think, yeah, I'm a bit more clear about it now because I was just being a bit stubborn for a while, which I now realize because I heard like Jeff Bezos, when he was building Amazon, people used to call it like Scam or something. Like, it just seemed unreal. Like, you're making these promises that don't make sense. And he had to persist for decades until people were like, oh, this is actually the best thing ever. And I was like, I need to do it. It's going to be the best story ever. It got to a point where people were calling me a predator on Twitter because I'm selling a thing to kids. And they're like, why are you targeting kids? And I'm like, because it's kids playing this game. What are you talking about? And so I felt like I was persisting through so much pain, which like meant that I was on the right path. But I realized like, yeah, I think I just got a little bit more clear about like what I really want, what I can help people with, and actually making the community free meant helping more people. Because instead of helping 100 people achieve their goals, now there's 1,000 people in the community, and the community is really just keeping itself alive. Because that's one of the things about the Geometry Dash community is they're very like by the community for the community. And if someone tries to sell you anything, everybody gets pretty mad. So yeah, I think I'll be able to pivot much easier in the future because of that.
Super, super interesting and insightful. I would love to ask 2 questions. One that I would love to remember for later is, you're so young, you're confronted with hate like this. Like, how do you deal with that? But the other one is as well, like, now you have built community and you're part of communities that have such fundamentally different cultures. How did it shape you to be in one or the other? And where do you know you want to lean in? And what did you learn? What you need to create, as in this is kind of your house where you create the culture?
Yeah. So I would school is a great place because there's so many different communities you can be in. And so I'd spend my time in communities with like entrepreneurs and like people that are trying to improve themselves and people that are trying to learn about different business things and just improve themselves in so many different ways. And it's motivating. And then when I can position myself to help those people, it makes me feel better and it lifts my self-image about myself. And then I go into my gaming community and these kids are like focused on gaming. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to help them with gaming because that's what I committed to. And I think it lowered my self-image a little bit. And so, yeah, I realized like I feel a lot better hanging around the people that I would actually rather talk to in real life, which makes a lot of sense.
Do you kind of feel like you outgrown your origin community and now it's just not Or this is why it doesn't feel right anymore?
Yeah, I mean, the Geometry Dash community is weird because it's so driven by passion. It's great because the game, it's like the creator has allowed players to have just infinite creativity within the game. And so it's a really beautiful artistic thing. But what I had always done, it's been my favorite game for my whole life. But what I had always done on YouTube is play the game of YouTube. And so most people play it with the passion for the game. And I was playing the game for the passion for YouTube. And so I was kind of disconnected my whole way through. And I guess I just felt more disconnected to that. And like my truth was over in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And
So now you allow yourself to play the game that you actually enjoy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So beautiful. So you just said that you made around $1,000 with the Community Dash group. Was that the first money you made online, maybe other than ad revenue, or how did that work?
Yeah. So, well, the first money I actually made online was when I first started streaming myself playing the game 4 years ago. And somebody sent me like $50 on stream and I freaked out. I was like, no freaking way. Because before I had gotten a computer, I was watching those streams and I saw people donating money. I'm like, why are they sending him money? Like, what? He's not even doing anything. Like, he'll say your name once, but like, and then I got a computer because COVID happened and we had to do online school. And so I was able to stream the game finally and I could upload some videos. And then somebody sent me $50 and I was like freaking out. And I went and told my brother. And that was just an amazing moment. But maybe a year after that, I had about 2,000 subscribers and I got monetized. And I made my first $12, or I think it was like $10.14 or something from AdSense. And that was crazy to me because I was happy to just do it for free. I was like, I'm making these videos. I'm getting a bunch of comments. This is so fun. Because I used to walk a dog for $10 a day. And that was like, oh my God, I can make $3,000 a year doing this. This is crazy. And so the fact that I had just made that posting gaming videos, I was like, wow. And then I was able to ramp up AdSense a lot. But through monetizing my audience, yes, like outside of, well, actually I did like 2 sponsorships ever, but then outside of that and AdSense, first place I really monetized was school.
Mm-hmm. What was your highest AdSense month and how did that feel?
$13,000. That was crazy because everybody puts a big, like a big deal, a big pedestal on $10,000 a month for some reason. This is just a cool number.
Yeah.
And I put myself in a position where I was like, all right, I have to make this much money or else I have to go to college. No matter what, this is going to happen. And I fully believed it. And like, I wasn't on track for it at all. I was at like 5,000 a month and I ended up hitting it in May and then more and more. And the interesting thing about it is like the more money I made, like it was great, but the more stressed I got because I was like, well, now I can't make any less than this.
Yeah. Oh, I know this one.
or else, I don't know.
Is it for you still like that you also think like in a month, like how much did I make this month and this month and this month?
Well, I've trained my brain to start thinking more exponentially, which isn't always beneficial because since I started trying to monetize on school, I've made way less YouTube videos. And so my biggest month ever was $20,000 last October. And it's just gone down and down and down and down and down to like, I mean, now I'm making $2,000 a month on AdSense. And like now recently in the past week, I'm making more money than I've ever made. But the AdSense went way down because I just put my full effort and vision into exponential money. I was like, school is the thing. I don't need AdSense. I'm just going to monetize. This is going to be exponential for the future. And so I felt like I had no other option than to keep going with that community. It was like, all right, I'm either going to go broke with this or it's going to happen. But what I realized was it's not the output that matters. It was all of the input. So the 9 months of input of me trying to monetize on school, that gave me so many valuable skills that I can now monetize. And the same thing with YouTube. Like I thought I was very stuck in like, okay, well, I have these 2 million subscribers. I have to monetize this audience. I have to carry the momentum over. But I was thinking about the outcome, the output of the 2 million subscribers, all those people, where really what mattered was the input. Like I've made thousands of thumbnails. I've posted hundreds of videos. I did all that. And now I have those skills that I can monetize. And that's like something really important that I realized.
That's so cool. I think that's what Hormozy means when he says the work works on you. Because you suddenly have like those transferable skills. There's also this beautiful thing. I actually talked with my sister today about this and about pivoting in business. And she said this, like, sometimes you have to climb up a mountain to look around and see there are other mountains and realize like, oh, I would like to actually stand on that mountain. Well, now you have to climb down and all the way up again. And I feel like that's what you described, right? So you closed your eyes, you started climbing, and then you were on top of that mountain. You were like, well, actually, that's the mountain I would like to go to. So then you have to cut back on once. It's so, it's actually, I think, so brave and so disciplined to not be tempted by doing the things for the immediate cash flow, right? Because it comes with that anxiety and all of that. So that's really cool.
That's a really good analogy, because it's like I've walked up this mountain to 2 million subscribers, and then I saw this peak over here, and I'm like, I like hanging out with my friends on this mountain, but I'm over here on this mountain. I want to go over here. And so it's technically like, I had to walk back down and go to 0, but now I have way stronger legs and I know the best route to get to the top of the mountain.
Exactly. So, you know how to climb, you know what to avoid, right? So you're there faster.
Yeah.
So cool. I think, all those steps, because I've witnessed you, for example, and I'm just one of so many people, right, that have seen you. And I think all of those steps of your journey, the way you presented, the way you contributed to the community, the things you shared, all of those things kind of compound into returns now. So you're actually now kind of start. And I think it's just a start for you. So I think we'll see you going really far. It's just starting to reap kind of all those seeds you've planted. So it's really beautiful to see. How did your whole surroundings react to that growth? And, a little bit kind of also the maybe obsession madness you put into that growth. Did you get only support, or did you also get some pushback?
Like from my friends and family?
Yeah. So the immediate kind of environment.
It was always support, which is part of why I was able to deal with so much hate online, because anybody that actually talked to me or knew me was so in support of me and saw my vision. And I'm super lucky. I have a really awesome family, and they've always supported me. I mean, my mom really wanted me to go to college, and so that was a little hard, but I mean, she's happy now. I think she understands.
That's beautiful.
But I mean, because we had always talked about, like, I have 2 siblings, an older brother and a younger sister. And we'd always talked about like being YouTubers or being someone famous or like getting rich or being successful. And we were always like, all right, guys, let's make an agreement. If you get famous or if you get rich, you have to give it like your money to the rest of us, so that like we all share. And it's like, it's just funny looking back on like all of that. Not that I'm like ultimately successful. In fact, I'm near broke right now because I spent 9 months doing something that was not a good return on immediate return on investment. But my family and friends have been super supportive of me.
That's beautiful. I also think it's like so relative how you perceive yourself as broke, because when I was 18, I was chronically 400 euros in like the reds, because that was the maximum I could go into the reds. So I think, perspectives.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not broke. Taxes are crazy in Hawaii.
Yeah, I believe that. So when it comes to the hate, kind of, what, other than your family, what gives you the strength, or how do you deal with that? Or what tips do you have for somebody who maybe shies away from putting themselves out there because of the inevitable hate?
Well, I think it's just where you put importance. And so I've learned, I think subconsciously we put importance into actions that align with our beliefs. And so a lot of people actually get pissed off and hurt the most when someone says something true to them.
Mhm.
Like, you call a fat person fat, like, ow, geez. But like, if someone calls me fat, it doesn't affect me. If someone calls me a predator for selling a community to kids, it doesn't hurt me. It's like, whoa, you must be hurting right now. And I think part of that understanding is that both of my parents are therapists, and they've really understood me and they understand people. And I think they've taught me to understand people very well. And I understand, like, and even like I would have, like, the gaming community that I was in is such a connected community. And so everybody talks on Discord and stuff, and people would talk to me, and they would say, like, I didn't think you would be like a real person. Like, I thought you were going to be like a really goofy guy. Cause if you look at my gaming content, it's like there's not a lot of myself in it. Like, there's not a lot of connection. It's very much like just content that's going to get a lot of views, because that's what I had a lot of fun doing. And so people just thought I was like just trying to make a bunch of money and take advantage of the community and all this shit. And like, I wasn't an actual person. But anybody that would talk to me would realize I am an actual person. And yeah, I said a few different things there, but I think it's understanding who I am and getting reinforcement from the people I actually care about, and not like people on Twitter who are like 12 years old and like, I don't know if you do anything good for the world or if you're just sitting there on Twitter. So yeah, I mean, it still gets to me because like I don't want to read a comment that's like saying things that are really bad about me. And it's crazy when there's thousands of them. Like, if you were to think of thousands of people in a room screaming at you, but none of those people would say anything in real life. And that's something I've learned from watching like big influencers talk about how they get a lot of hate. I'm like, what? They get a lot of hate? They're such a nice guy. But it's like, if you get big at all, there's always going to be positivity and negativity. And I think you just got to put importance in one of them.
That's beautiful, and also really helpful, because it's something that kind of holds me back. Talked about this with someone the other day, and I did an exit survey for some of the members that canceled, or for all of the members that canceled my community. And there was, out of 70 comments, there were like literally that were truly negative, right? So the other ones were like, don't have money right now, I feel overwhelmed, or I'm actually looking for something different, right? So they were, or I love it, I'll come back when I get my next paycheck. So things like that. So like in general, where you say, okay, like that's actually great, much better than I thought. And two like truly negative ones. And I think one of them I took so much to heart that we were talking about, because you're helping me with my YouTube videos, right? Brainstorming about them. And I really noticed like how I was shutting down from this comment, because I thought like about the videos that I want to make. And then you have like this person in mind and you're like, oh, I don't want to produce content and then get that feedback, because it was around being like too much, right? Giving too much, overwhelming. And so kind of that hesitation of, okay, when you put yourself out there and then you're just too much for people. So I think it's insane how much it can affect us. And those people don't even know you're human. So I think they're so mindless just throwing something out there and don't even know like how it changes could potentially change the trajectory of somebody's entire business. I mean, you didn't let that happen, right? But did you ever notice that you made changes based on the comments that probably you shouldn't have made, or were you just always on top of that?
Yeah, so I would make a lot of like 1 minute to 2 minute videos because they would get a lot of views and I had fun seeing how many views I could get. But thousands of comments saying like, this guy's just shit posting, this is really bad content, I can't believe people watch this. It's like, well, it's getting more views than anything else, so I couldn't believe people watch this. But it made me start doing like edited content. And so I hired stupid editing agency for like $3,000 and I got totally scammed because they sucked. But I invested a lot into trying to make better content, and I got the same exact feedback. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's not my content.
So it's not your
Like,
content.
you guys don't care about this. It's not like it's not about that. It's like it's on a weird level. Like, some people just aren't happy, and it feels powerful to be able to like type a comment, it's like stamping it out there in the universe, and it feels powerful to like say something as if it's the truth. And then to read that, it hurts because it almost feels like the truth. And other people might read it, and then they're going to think it's the truth. And really, it's like, it's not the truth. And if all comments were people having to look you in the eyes 2 feet away from you, like, it wouldn't be harsh at all. There'd be a few psychopaths out there that would say something crazy, but the majority of people would be like, if they have something negative to say, they'll just walk away, or they'll just not watch the video. But some people are just kind of pissed off. They're scrolling through YouTube. They click on a video. This sucks. I hate you. You suck. It's like, it has nothing to do with you. It's all about them.
I mean, first off, I'm really sorry you had to go through that experience. So that's also crazy. And at the same time, I think it's such a good learning that you had it early on. And when you think about the kind of money you will earn in the future and you will spend in the future on things, I think it's so good when you have that lesson early, because it prevents you from losing a lot more kind of later on. So in that sense, I'm actually happy that it happened to you, and now you don't have to make the mistake later when it costs more. So that's good. And also, I think it maybe might come back to the same as there were 2 different school communities. Like, it just might have not been the right audience, right? But because you can't control the algorithm, because their engagement just counts and the algorithm doesn't see if it's necessarily positive or negative, you just fed towards the wrong audience. So
yeah. Well, it's also just a vocal minority. And so if people click on the video and don't really care, they might just stop watching the video. And then if people click on the video and really like it, they just might like it, or they might comment like, great video. And then if people click on it and they already have like a pre-assumption of like, guy sucks, they're going to just write a comment because that's what they do. And then they're going to spend the rest of the day on Twitter. And so, yeah, it's weird. I just don't see those people as like I can't, it sounds weird to say, but I can't respect them as humans, because a human is right here in front of my face and they're going to say something that makes sense. But someone that just types shit on the internet all day and would never actually have like a functional conversation, I can't give them the same respect, or else I'm putting importance on what they're saying, which affects my life.
I think it's such a valuable learning. What do you think were maybe the 2 to 3 other biggest learnings that you had from your journey so far? If you could go back those 4 years when you started, after you posted your first video, what would you tell yourself? What would be maybe the 2-3 pieces of advice that you would equip yourself with?
Failing is good, really good. In fact, it's almost better than not failing, because it's going to make you grow more. If you always succeed, you're not going to grow exponentially. But if you fail, like, I was able to put myself into a mindset that made me get motivated the more I failed, and the more I felt like I was like making bad progress, and like one day I'd have like a really shitty day and I would be demotivated, and then I'd realize like, oh my God, you know what this means? Like, this means it's going to be exponential progress in the future. If I just persist through this, I'm going to have so much growth. And I think people need to take on that mindset, but also be logical about it, because that same mindset is what led me to be stubborn and keep going with the community, even though it wasn't really giving me positive energy anymore. But that's a big lesson. Like, I would call it like mental speed bumps. And this happened tons of times throughout my YouTube journey, where I was getting a lot of views and then none of my videos would get views. And I would see a bunch of like that happen to a bunch of other channels, and then they would just give up because they're like, all right, well, the algorithm luck isn't here anymore. But instead of having that mindset, I was like, well, I just need to keep going, and I need to maybe pivot a little bit and switch up my content. And so I did that so many times. And every time I was able to kind of like push through and persist through that speed bump, I felt like I went down a hill and gained more momentum, and then I would have more success after persisting through what I didn't want to. And I think that just happens on an energetic level, even if people don't see like real, like you should be able to do an input without expecting an output, I think.
So
and I
agree.
mean, you need systems and it needs to make sense. But I think on an energetic level, the universe is going to give back if you persist through pain for a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one lesson. And then another one is just like, look up. I don't know how I say this. Like, look at people that you aspire to be and take advice from them in areas that they're really an expert at. And don't take advice from people who are like worse at you in something. Because there's a lot of places where people are just given a ton of advice, and I'm like, you have 100 subscribers, stop telling him what thumbnails to make and things like that. A lot of people like to give advice, and advice is great, but I think people should take advice from the people they aspire to be, because actions are very like copyable and replicatable. And well, outcomes are, if you do the same input, you're going to get the same output most likely. And so I think people should, it seems very simple, but people should like find the people whose lives they aspire to live and like really reflect on it and think about it. Because maybe what you think you want isn't what you want, but still to like take lessons from those people so that you don't drag yourself in the wrong direction, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. When you have different role models, how do you go about assembling things? And do you have like another layer of kind of validation where, because I think it's also, especially in the coaching industry, right? Our digital marketing, influencer business, it's really easy to pedestal a person. And actually have this happening to me where people kind of, because they think like, oh, you're good in this one area, right? You must have almost figured all of life out because you're making money and you're having such large community. So you must have figured it all out. So people ask me, for example, for relationship advice and, kind of or, how to raise your child. So I have like personal experience and I have opinions, but I don't have expertise. And so when we look at somebody, I think personally, I always try to see kind of through that and don't pedestal. How do you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on like what area of life I respect someone in. And I try my best to not see someone as like the all-knowing. And so I'll take business advice from Alex Hermosi, but I'm not going to take diet advice from him because I mean, he's super ripped, but he tells you to eat Fruity Pebbles and stuff. And so I'd rather like feel really good and be really good at business. So maybe I'll take diet advice from Hamza or someone that's like a nutritionist instead of someone that's really good at business and then is also jacked. And I'll take, I don't know. I guess I just like find an intuition about people, learn different lessons from other people. I don't know. I think everybody just has to find their own mentors, and we can't all have the same mentors. Except everybody seems to learn from Sam Ovens. He's like,
he just is the director of the school. So
yeah.
I think he has like some things really nailed. Many things. What I admire most about him is how he's so focused on simplicity.
Yeah.
That I think is the biggest desire that he instilled in me, and the kind of the biggest like, I'm on the wrong mountain, wait for me. So I think there's tons to learn from him.
Definitely. And it's crazy the lengths that he'll go for simplicity. He's like, he really, like, he doesn't, I don't think he sells anything besides school. Like, that's just, he's all in on school and that's it. And even having like a free to paid community sometimes is like, well, would Sam do this? Like, maybe I should just have a paid community, because now I'm managing 2 communities, and that's crazy. And you're over here with like, how many communities do you have?
I have, with partner memberships, 8 memberships. So the ones that I own, like mine, I have 1, 2, 5. And then together with partners, it's a total of 8. Whereas one partner also has 3 or no, actually 4. So don't know how we should count them. So I think that that's also like a little bit of the thing for getting rewards for the quick win early, right? So it really paid off to create like a value ladder, right? And having those offer structures as well. Yeah. And I definitely don't want to miss it, because I had to climb this mountain as well to build my legs, to build my skills, to build my reputation, and to kind of see it all through. And I also think that there are different ways to build brand, right? Some people go all in on YouTube for like a while and they build a brand like this. And I've built my brand in reverse organic through the ads and then through the email list. And now I have a strong brand. And I think without a strong brand, one community is potentially a little bit hard, right? So you can start like that, but you just have to, I guess it's just how do you want to put in the work?
Definitely. And I think some people naturally would rather do multiple things. Like Alex Hormozy is doing a lot of things. Like he's got acquisition.com and school and whatever else he's doing. But Layla Hormozy is just all in on acquisition.com. And so she'd rather just full focus one thing that she's really, really good at. And Alex is like, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do all these things. So I think, yeah, it's different for everybody, but Sam's definitely super simple. And that's part of what makes school so amazing.
I think so too. But I also have to say, it's kind of, I do appreciate that, because what I also learned in this journey, right? So you get to this level where you're not scarce on money anymore, right? Even if the months you earn like less or something, but you just know you're good at like a certain point. At a certain point where you have made money and you know kind of the laws of it, and you know how to, if tomorrow there's no school anymore, you know how to go back to YouTube and work your way up to 20K again, right? So you feel kind of abundant in that sense, that you trust yourself, that you'll always be able to take care of yourself. And I think after that, it is really what you want to optimize for. And so do you want to optimize for more money, or do you want to optimize for, I want to like express my full creative potential, and I want to experiment a little bit around. Like actually, for me, different projects also fill me with joy. And so I want to allow myself that as well, because I don't want to compete like on most amount of money made in the shortest amount of time. I have like a more holistic view around who do I want to become as a person. And so sometimes that leads me on a tangent, but overall, like I'm just really grateful with how it goes. So, and like you said, like everybody has found their little niche and way that they love to operate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Money now doesn't mean security in the future. Like if I was always focusing on money now or optimizing for the most money, I would still be like just making a bunch of YouTube shorts every day, and like videos that I didn't really care about, and not connecting with my audience. And so that's why I started a school community, because I was like, I'll do something that like gives me more connection, gives me more fulfillment, gives me more freedom, and just all around positive energy, and then exponential success in the future. Because even if like you're doing something that makes you more money now, you might burn yourself out. And instead, if you were to kind of do something that doesn't make you as much money now, but you love, you're able to put so much more into it and keep going in the future and build it into something beautiful.
I love that so much. So what is your like ultimate vision now? Will we see a YouTube channel where you teach about YouTube growth, or will you be the best kept secret of the school community and just work off referrals? What's the plan?
I'm figuring that out. I've got so many options. Like I want to win the school games right now, and I know I should leverage the school games mastermind to be able to help my long-term vision, but I also kind of want to use it to develop my long-term vision, because like there's a few things I could do. Like I think being a school affiliate is kind of an untapped business model. There's one guy that's making like 50 grand a month from that, but it's crazy because all you need to do is sell. School takes
that's actually so gives like so much freedom if you think about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, an insane amount. Yeah. But I've had a strong idea. I think I do want to help a lot of people, but the problem is that I don't know if I want to be like actually famous. And I know I'm really good at YouTube. And so if I go all in on YouTube, it's like I'll become famous. And I don't know if I want that. Like I do have 2 million subscribers on a gaming channel, but nobody's ever come up to me and like said hi to me and be like, yo, can I take a picture? Because I'm not making life-changing videos. But if I start like going all in on YouTube and like helping people with self-improvement, business, people are going to start recognizing me and I'm going to have so much less quality of life. And I don't know if I'd rather just be like the background school guy that like people inside a strong school network know instead of the whole world. And so, I mean, if I'm teaching people YouTube, that's the problem. I should be a YouTuber or else I'm not learning. But
I think, I mean, if you work with, so from my personal business, right? So I'm running funnels and spend a lot of money on ads, but I'm learning much more from making it work for my students. Because once, you have found your thing, you can repeat it for your thing. But once you have to make it work for many, you learn all the nuance, right? So because no business, no channel will be the exact same. So the laws will always change like a little bit. And the more people you can help, the more pattern recognition you'll have. And ultimately you'll level up like so much. And I also believe like because your community is $9.99 a month and it will potentially go up after the games, right? Because it has this done for you component, you would not want to optimize for beginners. And I think with the school games community, you have this beautiful stream of people that just won the game like every month.
yeah.
So even like a special service for them where you say, because you won the games, I'm giving you a trial or I'm giving you, like a discounted price or whatever for the first month so you can check it out. I think this would be really interesting, especially because so many players are killing it on YouTube. So it's just a no-brainer. And me as an ads girl, like I'm looking at all the guys making the monthly recurring revenue while making ad revenue, right? And now Alex Ramosi said even RPM is the KPI to optimize for. I'm like, I better figure this out, like ASAP. So I think that, I think potentially you're like right at the source there in the games community.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about YouTube. Like you can advertise your business and the advertisements make you money.
Yeah, so crazy.
Like, that's what I was doing when I was advertising my school community. I was like, I was making more money from AdSense than like my monetization strategy, which was clear that my monetization strategy sucked, but it was also awesome because I was making money from advertising.
That's incredible. What would be the one tip that you would want to give to the person listening for both both of these fails? One would be personal growth and one would be YouTube growth.
One of the most powerful things I already said, but most people won't implement anyways. It's just seeing failure as growth. See, I could give another one. It's just everybody already knows these things. Like school makes it so easy to start because it's free, but some people still won't. And it's 100%. I think people just need to realize, like, kind of expand their mindset to what's possible and realize if they really try, they could make more than $99 a month before their free trial ends. I'm still on my free trial for my community. I've made like $6,000 or something.
Monthly recurring.
That's because I've monetized skills and because I have a network and because I know a lot of things. But you can learn the basics pretty quickly. And you literally have Alex Hormozi training, Andrew Kirby training, all within the community. And so I really think it's just a matter of taking action. And okay, yeah, I have one that's actually for both business and personal development. Visualization is a shortcut to skill acquisition and being competent in what you do. And so a lot of people don't start a coaching business because they're like, well, I'm not worthy of being a coach, or don't start a YouTube channel because they're like, well, I've never recorded a YouTube video, or real life skills. Like, for example, getting out of bed in the morning. That's something I still struggle with sometimes because I'm so comfortable at 6 a.m. and I'm like, oh, just 30 more minutes. Like, no, like what actually makes you more capable of being able to do certain things is visualizing yourself doing those things, because your brain can't tell the difference between imagination and reality. And so if you visualize a situation of you doing an action, like say talking to the camera with complete flow, you could imagine that. Maybe you can't do it right now, but just imagine that, and then imagine that 100 times a day. And then maybe by the end of the day, actually do it. And your brain will actually be way more competent in doing it because it thinks you've already done it. And so a lot of people don't use this to their advantage. And it sounds a little like woo-wah spiritual stuff, but it's actually just how your brain works. And if you visualize yourself doing something that you don't think you can actually do yet, you will become more competent way more quickly. And that can work with anything, whether that's becoming a coach and visualizing yourself coaching people, or being on a sales call and visualizing yourself closing a sale, or getting up in the morning and visualizing yourself waking up and getting up right when your alarm goes off, even if it's hard, even if you don't want to, because then your brain will understand that that's what you need to do, and it'll become so much easier to do the hard work.
That's such a cool one. Really, really big one and really cool one. I would love to finish or wrap up with one question that I would love to ask you. When you said if they really tried, right? So they could make those $99 before their free trial ends if they really tried. What does it mean to really try?
It's a good question, because a lot of people have different lives. And so like I have so much freedom in my life right now. So if I want to get something done, I can work 14 hours a day, but not everybody has that. So really trying is really hard without like a personal coach, because a lot of people don't know what to do, and they need someone to like see it for them, because a lot of people don't even know that they scroll on their phone for 30 minutes when they could be doing an action, or maybe they're visualizing all day but don't actually end up doing the action. And so I think it's different for everyone, which isn't a great answer, but I think optimizing and simplifying your life to be able to do as much of the input as possible while keeping in mind the output that you want, and sacrificing things that you know are bad for you, or that you know are going to prevent you from achieving the certain outcome. I mean, the truth is it's hard, and it sucks at the beginning, but once you do it, you'll realize you're so much happier for doing it. Like simply not drinking every night, or not eating sugar, or like wearing red light glasses for 2 hours before bed, or not scrolling on your phone in the morning. Like all these little things, these little decisions have such a big effect on your output. And I don't know, like there's not one answer to like, how do you actually do the work? But I mean, there's videos on YouTube. YouTube's a infinite source of wisdom. So if you ever don't know how to do something, you could go procrastinate and watch a YouTube video.
I love what you said, because ultimately it kind of boiled down to like you have to actually do it.
Yeah.
And like when you say you have 14 hours, were you doing something for 14 hours? I think everyone needs to get a little bit more honest with themselves about like how many actions did I really take on that day.
Yeah.
So I think that's sometimes what sets me up, is when somebody's like, I've been trying this and I've been trying, and I know like for a fact you wrote one sales page like for the first time in your life, and you're competing with, digital marketers that have been writing, I don't know, 4 today, like did it for the last like 10 years of their life. So I think that really trying comes down to so much action.
Yeah.
What's your hack on days where you don't feel like doing it at all?
I think it all comes from self-development, because a lot of people like to talk about discipline, but when you make it a habit to do something when you don't want to, it makes hard work easy, which makes it not hard work, but it still seems like hard work. But I think people need to understand that not wanting to do something is resistance, and they're creating the resistance. Like their mind is creating the resistance, and they need to understand that if you do it anyways, you're going to get way more out of it, and you're not going to regret it. And you're not going to know that. Your brain's not going to understand that until you do it. And so it sucks. The first time sucks because you don't know what you're in for, and you're going to have to do it, and it's going to suck. And that's not motivating for a lot of people. So they're not going to take that first step. But that first step is all you need for a little bit of momentum, because the next step's going to be so much easier. And eventually you'll train your brain to understand that taking a step without an immediate reward, and even taking a step into pain and resistance and knowing that it's going to be hard, your brain's going to understand that more is going to come your way after, and it'll become a habit, and it'll become a lot easier. But just taking that first step is all people really need to do. Like one step in the direction that you're resisting, that you can feel resistance in, is all people need.
Thank you, Kai. That was awesome. I really appreciate it. My goodness. I can't wait to see you like in 10 years. I'm going to be like, I knew him when he only had 2 million subscribers.